on the road. All right, well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Tylo Ward. I am the USAC Scholarships Coordinator, the University Studies Abroad Consortium. I am joined today by one of our wonderful alumni and now current Benjamin A. Gilman Ambassador, Samantha. Samantha, would you like to say hi to our guests?
Yes, thank you, Tylo. Hello, everyone. So my name is Samantha Raghu, pronouns she, her. And yes, I am a USAC alum and now Gilman Alumni Ambassador. I studied through USAC at Chiang Mai in Thailand as well. I am joining you all from Minnesota.
Perfect. Thank you, Samantha. We're going to hear a lot more from her in just a little bit. But just to get started, I also want to mention I am a USAC alumni as well. I studied abroad in Cork, Ireland in 2015. Feels like so many years ago now, but I still think about my experience all the time, how impactful it was for me. And one of the things that made it possible for me to go was the scholarships that I received. I think Samantha will be able to talk towards that a lot. And that's why, for me, financial assistance in the forms of scholarships and other things are incredibly important. And it's why I want to make sure every student has access to the resources they need to make sure they can go abroad and have an affordable and fun, immersive experience. So let's get started. This presentation, as I mentioned, will be saved for future posterity. So it will be accessible to current students who maybe already completed their entire application. It's going to be open to also staff and faculty from our various affiliate and network universities. So I am going to talk about some brief information about USAC. I promise we'll get to the good stuff soon. But just briefly, who is USAC? Our acronym stands for the University Studies Abroad Consortium. We are a nonprofit organization known as a consortium of over 300 universities and colleges in the United States. We were founded in 1982, so we just celebrated our 40th anniversary last year in 2022. We currently operate 50 program locations in over 27 countries around the globe. And in the last 40 years, we have welcomed 62,000 students to become alumni of a USAC program, and we are adding more and more students every single year. So briefly, I want to touch on some of our programs because this can have a determining factor on scholarship eligibility, financial aid eligibility, but this is something students are really going to want to know before they choose a program. So USAC offers two types of program models that students can choose from. We have specialty programs, which provide students with direct US credit from their experience or a grade report from their university. They are USAC courses that have been designed and are being implemented directly by USAC. We have on-site staff support. This is in the form of a resident director as well as program assistants, and they facilitate every aspect of the program, which includes orientation, it includes field trips, cultural immersion opportunities, a ton of different things that are provided directly through USAC. You will also be joined by fellow USAC program mates. So we generally, for big variety of amount of students can join these programs, anywhere between 30 all the way up to 70 students in some locations. And then the other type of program we offer is called a partnership program. This is where you as a student or one of your students will join an international university that we have an agreement with overseas. We call them a host university. The student will have access to an expanded course selection of what the university is offering for that specific term. So the university is there to support the student. We do not have any direct USAC staff members, with a few minor caveats to that in a few locations. But generally, the host university is there to support the student throughout the entirety of the program. They host an international student orientation, a variety of activities and cultural immersion opportunities as well there. So here is a brief list of our programs that we currently have. So you'll see that there's kind of a color differentiation of what our specialty program locations are compared to our partnership program locations. We're constantly expanding. We had an amazing announcement about a new program in Seoul, Korea, at Korea University, and we're going to have more exciting news coming out in the near future too about new locations. So be on the lookout. But right now, these are the many programs we offer currently. and briefly going over some scholarship opportunities that are internal to USAC. So we offer a variety of scholarships, some that are need-based, some that are academic focused, but really a plethora of different funding opportunities for students. So just thinking about what you have available to you, the scholarships through USAC are very simple. There's one application that I'll talk a little bit about on the next slide. But these are the types of scholarships you can expect to receive, to apply for if you're a student applying for one of our programs. We have regional scholarships. We have an access, equity, and inclusion scholarship. We have several forms of access scholarships for students from community colleges, students that have family members or they themselves were part of the military, STEM-focused scholarships. And then we also receive incredible support from many of our alumni and donors that fund a variety of scholarships that are program-specific, time-specific, or are there just generally to help students of need or to support students going to a specific part of the world. So applying for USAC scholarships is very simple. There is just one application. It's optional for all students to complete, but highly recommend that you do submit your application if you can. So first and foremost, you have to complete your program application or your preliminary program application at usac.edu. So you have to have applied for a program with USAC to be considered for scholarships for USAC. Within your USAC Gateway account, which is the housing feature for our application, you'll find our documents or the scholarship document in the Documents tab. From there, you can submit the scholarship application. The deadlines are listed on the slide. So the most recent or the nearest application deadline, I should say, is for our summer programs, which is coming up on March 15th. So a little under a month away or just around a month away. Students can go ahead and submit those applications for summer 2023. But all of our applications have one deadline. We do not do applications on a rolling basis. So you can go ahead and submit those up until the date of the deadline application. It's incredibly simple. We make sure to post our deadlines on several locations on our website and in the Gateway account. And then following the deadline, we review and disseminate scholarships prior to our program balance due date to make sure that every student has time to consider their financial aspects, what types of awards they may have received, and then they can go ahead and fully commit to the program at that point if they need to. So from there, that is all I have for the USAC side. So, oh, sorry, that's not true. I lied. One more slide. External scholarships. And that's what we're here for today, actually, to learn about, I think, one of the most impactful scholarships that students can be awarded, especially for those students that showcase extreme financial need. The Gilman Scholarship. So that's one where Samantha will be talking more about today. But if students or staff go to our Money Matters section on our website, there are dozens of more opportunities for external scholarships. Some of these are finance-based, such as the Gilman. Some are in academic focus. Some are preferable for first-gen students. Some are regional-based and don't have any specific requirements. But we have all of this on our website that you can view. There's a QR code down at the bottom corner there if you'd like to go directly to that part of our website. I also like to highlight that on the bottom of this section, we have scholarship databases. So these are websites that showcase a variety of different scholarships that are available for students studying abroad. So please go check that out as well. So now that was my last slide. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Samantha. She's going to start talking to us about the Gilman Scholarship. And thank you again so much for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you, Tylo. And again, thank you for giving me an opportunity of presenting today. So I will be going over the Gilman Scholarship. And as Tylo mentioned, I am a USAC alum. And one of the great things about USAC programs for me was that it was very affordable. But again, being a low income student, finances were just a huge barrier when it came to studying abroad, which led me to my pursuit of the Gilman Scholarship program, which led me to becoming a recipient and now a Gilman Alumni Ambassador. So I am here to talk to you about the Benjamin A. Gilman Scholarship Program. So what is that exactly? We can move to the next slide to find out. Awesome. So the Gilman Scholarship Program, it is sponsored by the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs within the U.S. Department of State. So if you think of it as an outward spiral, right? At the core, you have Gilman Scholarship Program along with other exchange programs, and then expand outward, you have the BEA, and then last spiral, U.S. Department of State. And the Gilman Scholarship Program, along with other exchange programs sponsored by the BEA, a primary goal is to increase cultural and mutual understanding between people of the US and people of other countries as well. And those who become part of the Gilman community and become Gilman recipients and later alumni are also put within a platform and connected to 40,000 other individuals who have participated in an exchange program as well. So there's a vast network of connection and relationship building there as well. And we can move on to the next slide. All right, and so another primary goal of the Gilman Alumni Scholarship is to really paint a more representative picture of the US abroad, right? And so it does this by providing financial support to students of different backgrounds whose voices and experiences are often excluded in our country's narrative abroad, right? And so since its inception, we've been able to accomplish this. So a lot of students that were able to go abroad held various backgrounds like first generation, multiracial, minority groups, and also those from rural towns. Myself, again, I was first generation, low income, and I grew up in a very small town in Minnesota. And this scholarship provided me with the financial support to be able to go abroad. We can move on to the next slide. All right, and so as Tyler could probably agree, when it comes to talking about our abroad experience, we can honestly go on for hours, but I will try to keep it at a minimum. But again, I am a USAC alum and I was able to study abroad in Chiang Mai, Thailand. And the application process for me, it was very extensive and it did take a long time. I started my application process or study abroad journey in, I believe, December of 2018, and then all the way until my departure date of August 21st of 2019. And so with that, there were a lot of applications that included USAC, Gilman, but otherwise logistics in there as well, visa application, passport applications. And so it was a lot of work and I needed a lot of support, and I am blessed to say that I received a lot of support. And for the application process, I went to Gustavus Adolphus College, and my advisor from the Center for International and Cultural Education was very supportive, helping me with the visa and passport and USAC application, along with the Gilman application. So if you are looking to study abroad, I do encourage that you reach out to your campus international center, and they are there to help provide support. And so I highly recommend that as well. But with my time abroad, I believe I fell under the specialty program for USAC. I stayed at a host institution. I stayed at Chiang Mai University, and I was with other USACers as well. It was honestly such an amazing experience for me. I met a wonderful and vast group of people from all over the world, not just in the United States. And it was amazing because of the Gilman Scholarship Program as well. I was able to travel to neighboring countries as well in Southeast Asia, like Cambodia, Vietnam, and Malaysia. So that financial support really helped expand my experience as well. There were a lot of amazing immersive opportunities while I was in Thailand. We did a lot of outdoor excursions and hikings to a lot of the Hmong and Karen and Thai villages in northern Thailand, which was honestly so beautiful. And again, I was surrounded with other USACers, and it was just a very supportive and uplifting environment. And then we got to meet a lot of locals. I got to learn more of the Thai language itself, which was very, very helpful in my interactions. But overall, with my study abroad experience, it did help me grow as a person. With my culture, like my parents are usually there with me, holding my hand through a lot of things, and then going abroad really taught me to be independent, as I am a woman of color, essentially navigating this whole other space that's very different. And so that taught me to be very independent and just very self-confident as well. And also just building my cultural communication and appreciation, getting to interact with local Thai and also minority groups in Thailand as well, and getting a sense of their culture and just appreciation as well was something that was very big for me. And then going abroad as well really expanded my career trajectory. Going into my study abroad journey, you know, I was sophomore in college. I didn't really know where my passions were. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then as soon as I was abroad, I had an amazing opportunity of being a teaching assistant at a Buddhist temple. And that led me to my interest in education and teaching as well, which I have a career in today. So that was very, very impactful for me as well. So I can go on, but I will stop there. We can go to the next slide. All right, so you're probably wondering, scholarship, great, money, great, but how much are we talking about here? So with the Gilman Scholarship, recipients can receive up to $5,000 worth of scholarship funds, and these funds can be used towards any cost-related items when it comes to studying abroad. So that can be tuition, airfare, visa, passport costs, clothes, housing, any type of basic needs when you're abroad. So the versatility of the funds is very, very helpful. And these funds also apply to any type of program that you're looking and interested in going for when it comes to studying abroad. So it applies to fall semester programs, spring semester, summer, winter, or for a whole academic term as well. And the amount of funds that recipients receive also depend on several factors, and that includes program costs, individual need costs as well, and also the strength of your application. And Gilman Scholarship, while it is a competitive scholarship, generally 1 in 4 students also receive the scholarship upon applying as well. We can move on to the next slide. Awesome. So on top of the $5,000 that a recipient is awarded with the Gilman Scholarship, recipients can also apply, or applicants can apply to receive a supplemental $3,000 as well if they are looking to study a critical need language in their host country as well. And I will say that some countries aren't open to certain languages. So, but there are different countries that offer the language. So for example, I see Russians on the list. There are some countries that offer, that host the Russian language as well. And then Tyler, I'm not sure if you had anything.
Yeah, I did want to add one quick note to this slide as well. Just for easy reference, I highlighted some of the languages that USAC offers out of these critical need languages that the Department of State is looking for. So we do have a plethora of opportunities in languages. We offer almost 20 languages for students. In terms of the more intensive language offerings that we have, students can find options in Arabic, Chinese or Mandarin, Hebrew. We do have some introductory courses in Hindi. I do not believe it's enough though to meet the requirement for the Gilman. There's Japanese as well, intensive Japanese and Korean, and finally Portuguese. And there are opportunities again for Russian as well, but it depends on a student's schedule to determine whether or not that would meet the criteria for the Gilman. But it's definitely something a student can look into if they're going to one of our universities in England specifically. And we can go on to the next slide.
Thank you, Tyler. Yeah, so with that saying, yeah, students who apply for a critical need language can receive up to $8,000 worth of scholarship funds. And I think the only additional piece for the critical need language is there is a additional essay to be written and considered, and also a oral proficiency interview as well. Now we can move on to the next slide. All right, so eligibility with the Gilman program. All right, so those eligible for the Gilman program include US citizens or a national student, and that you have to be undergraduate student as well. And a key eligibility item is students have to be a federal Pell Grant recipient as well from a credit-bearing program, and the country you choose has to be in an area with a travel advisory of either level 1 or 2. And again, with travel advisory, it typically means just exercising normal precaution and level of safety, or an approved level 3 exception. Usually with level 3, there's discussions about reconsidering location as well. So we really encourage just to stick with the country that has a travel advisory of level 1 or 2. And again, there is no minimum length requirement. You can go for a semester, summer, or for a year as well. And then we can move on to the next slide. All right, and this is just talking more about that travel advisory with the country that you choose and making sure that you want to stick within level 1 or 2. I believe when I was in Thailand, my travel advisory for Chiang Mai was level 1 as well. So yeah, we can move on to the next slide. Awesome. And then currently with Gilman, funds are available for virtual programs as well. And that can be online courses based outside the US. It could be an exchange, a faculty-led program, international internships, intensive language programs. And then this is actually ending this year, and those and programs are eligible until April 30th of 2023 as well. All right. And so with the Gilman Scholarship, active members of the military can also apply for the Gilman McCain Scholarship, and they are eligible to receive $5,000 for child or spousal dependents of active duty service members as well. And there are eligibility requirements as well, and that includes being U.S. citizen, undergraduate student, again, from a credit-bearing program. And yeah, so this is also an option for military members as well. And we'll have a QR code at the end of the presentation as well. So more information will be accessible on the Gilman McCain Scholarship as well. But we can move on to the next slide. All right, so the application process itself, we can move on. All right, so there are two core components of the application process. So we have the student application and the advisor certifications, and students can also choose who they want to be their financial aid advisor as well. And I will also mention that for the applications, there are two separate deadlines. So the student application itself will have a deadline, and the advisor certification will also have its own deadline as well. But we can move on to the next slide. All right, so the first portion of the application is the statement of purpose. And with this, it has to be a max length of 7,000 characters. And again, that's usually like a page and a half. And for statement of purpose, it's really a personal interview and just breaking down your whole life, for a lack of better terms. So when I was writing my statement of purpose, a method that I used was journaling. So I really took some time to like re-examine like my life, my academic and my professional and my personal goals as well, and how those three combined has led me to my desire, interest in studying abroad as well. So really expanding on that in your statement of purpose is really important. And then also talking about some of the challenges that you anticipate that you're going to face while you're abroad, right? What are your academic strengths? What are your academic weaknesses? When you're abroad, you'll be learning inside of the classroom, but you'll also be having excursions and adventures outside of the classroom. So what are your plans to help balance those two? So really tackling those obstacles in your statement of purpose is very important as well. And again, just making a connection between your program and your goals. And then we can move on to the next slide. Awesome. And so with the statement of purpose, it's, again, a method that I used was journaling, but also to help structure your essay, we offered some questions that we really want applicants to think about when they're writing their statement of purpose. And again, making that connection between your program and your goals. And also a big one is, why did you choose your country, and how does your country, your study abroad country, relate to your ambitions, to your goals, and how do you see that helping you in the future as well? And then how will you, again, addressing those concerns of being academically successful on your programs? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And your plans to overcome them as well. And then a big part of any type of exchange program and application, this is an advice my advisor gave me personally, is to show, not tell. So giving examples is very huge when you're talking about like your academic strengths and weaknesses, giving examples of when you had several struggles and challenges and what you did to overcome them, and really applying that to your study abroad program and your experience as well. All right, we can move on to the next slide. All right, and the second essay is the community impact and building mutual understanding. And then this is a maximum required of 3,000 characters, which is around a page as well. And so going back to the first slide, again, with the Gilman, the primary goal is to create cultural and mutual understanding between people of the United States and people of other countries. So with this essay, it's important to really unpack how you will do that in your time abroad, because once you study abroad, you are a diplomat. So how will you represent your country while also understanding the culture and context and country that you're in as well? And some of the questions that we also like applicants to consider is, to you, what does it mean to be a US citizen while abroad, right? With my identity being first generation, low income, daughter of immigrants, the way I experience myself in the United States and my experience abroad is very different from another person that shares maybe a different background than me, right? So really expanding on your own story and your own experience. And again, you will be a diplomat. So how do you see yourself engaging with the culture abroad? So do you plan on, for example, learning the language, or maybe participating in a certain club, or maybe writing a journal article for your university back home? So how will you bridge those mutual understandings between the cultures? And again, seeking opportunities to have meaningful interactions, learning the language, going outside and interacting with locals, and just immersing yourself in the local culture is very important. So just very detailing how you will plan to do that and how you envision that happening while you're abroad. And we can move on to the next slide. Again, these are just some questions that will help you structure your essay as well. And again, help you unpack how you envision your experience abroad will go. Again, how will you represent the United States, and how will you seek to understand the culture abroad? And also a big part of being a diplomat and just being a student abroad is reciprocity. So how do you contribute, again, to the space and the culture that you're in a mutual and respectful way? And then again, with that comes opportunities to build relationships and meaningful connections as well, while you're practicing that reciprocity. And we can go on. All right, and the last essay is the follow-on service project proposal. And again, this is 3,000 characters, most likely just a page long. And so with this, again, is how do you plan on bringing back essentially what you learned and what you experienced about the culture in your country, and how will you share that with your community back home? So for example, for my follow-on service project, I did a documentary of my experience along with 3 other Pell Grant experiences, and all of our collective experiences abroad, because we all went abroad at the same time, and with our different backgrounds and identities, we all had different experiences, different challenges that we faced, different ways of overcoming the obstacles. So it was just a visual documentary that I shared with my campus, and now it's used as a way to, and now it's presented to the student body at different study abroad fairs and different presentations and webinars as well. So that was a way of sharing my experiences and the impact of my Gilman Scholarship abroad with my host community. So yeah, different projects. How do you plan on sharing and practicing that reciprocity? And I do recommend that you propose a project that is of interest to you and works within a 6-month timeline. Recipients have 6 months after returning abroad to complete their follow-on service project. So whatever is interesting and falls within your passions, I recommend weaving that into your follow-on service project. And we can go on. And again, 5 questions to help guide your thinking and structure of the follow-on service project. And again, with the Gilman follow-on service project, we're really trying to increase awareness of the Gilman Scholarship to your local community and to study abroad applicants as well. So how do you plan on doing that? And again, the feasibility of your project, you have 6 months to complete it. Is your project feasible within that time span? And then again, going in to as much detail as you can about your project, the more the better. And again, how do you plan on incorporating your studying abroad experience within your project as well? And another one that I forgot to touch on, but I'm glad we have it in the question: who is your intended audience? So are you trying to reach out to your university back home? Are you planning on sharing your experiences with friends, families, with peers, with maybe a certain part of your community, maybe with your work or your institution back home? So who are you sharing this information to? Who are you sharing this information with? And who will you collaborate with your community, within your community, to achieve this goal? So again, for example, with my project, I collaborated with my Center for International Education to help share this documentary as well. And I collaborated with other Pell Grant recipients to weave their stories into the documentary as well. So again, being as detailed and collaborative as you can, the more the better. And we can go on. Awesome. And then again, for those looking to pursue a critical need language award, there is an additional essay, and this is optional. Again, if you are not doing critical need language, this is not included, but for those who are, this will be the additional essay. It'll be a max 2,000 characters. And then again, really honing in on why you chose the language and how will this help you in your career and your academic goals going forward. And also just talking about your motivations or desire to learn the language as well. Like, what interests you? How, like, do you plan on continuing to use the language when you return back to the United States as well? And we can move on. Awesome. So with it's a little bit blurred, but that is okay, because this is just talking about the selection criteria. And again, what exactly that the review board is looking for in the applicant. And again, a successful applicant is really just able to articulate their academic goals, their aspirations, and relating that back to the program as well. And how do you plan on being a successful diplomat when you're in the country? And how will you practice reciprocity of sharing the United States culture, but also sharing your host culture and country abroad with your community at home? And then again, academic preparedness. What are some challenges? What are some weaknesses that you anticipate facing? How do you plan on addressing those when you're abroad as well? Or how do you envision that being settled when you're abroad? And then again, with the Gilman Scholarship Program, we really want to emphasize mutual understanding and paint a more representative picture abroad. So really just painting a picture for us of who you are and what is your background, what is your experience, and how has that led you to studying abroad, and how do you see studying abroad helping you in the future as well? And we can go on. All right, so logistic wise, we'll just go over some deadlines and timelines. All right, so for folks looking to apply for for the next application cycle, I want to apologize because these are not the updated times. The March deadline, the dates are a little bit different. I will drop them in the chat. Okay. All right. So I apologize. That is my fault that I didn't see that the March deadline wasn't updated, but essentially for the student application deadline, that will be March 9th. And again, the time zone is correct. It will be 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. And then for the advisor deadline, that will be March 16th. 2023. And again, for this deadline, it applies to summer programs, fall semester programs of 2023, and then also spring programs, summer programs, and fall programs for 2024 as well. All right, and we can go on. Perfect. And now we're just going to go into some application tips. All right, so for your application, it's really important that you create a compelling story that ties your past, present, and future to highlight the impact the scholarship will have on you. And I will just emphasize that for me, I know when I was starting this process, I was concerned a lot about what I think was needed for the application or what I think the review board wanted to hear. And then again, some advice that I got from my advisor is just to be as genuine as you can and just paint a really authentic narrative of yourself, of your background, of your story. Yes, just be as genuine and make sure to give yourself enough time to really just unpack what your goals and aspirations are as well. That's really going to help build your story and build your application as well. And again, start the application early, be as true to yourself as you can. And again, being true and genuine will just help you in the end with your confidence of the application as well. We can go on. Awesome. And so for the follow-on service project, again, we want to make sure that it is a means of practicing reciprocity and it's as collaborative as possible. So how can you collaborate with your community and local schools? Yeah, exactly. So think about your own experience. Like, how did you find out about Gilman? So did you go to a webinar? Did you talk to your international center? Did you find it online? So what was your point of origin with your Gilman scholarship journey? And really hone in on that and build your follow-on service project from that as well. That will help with the feasibility and logistics of things as well. And again, with the follow-on service project, I recommend just really unpacking it and starting as early as possible. The more early, the more you'll be able to have time to really collaborate with community members and reach out to your local schools and centers on campus as well to determine the feasibility of your project proposal as well. I also recommend getting as much advice and confirmation from your advisors about the feasibility of your follow-on service project as well. Again, making sure it fits within the timeline and making sure it's something that you can complete within a 6 months period. We can go on. Awesome. And so these are some tips for standing out. So again, for me personally, it's just very important to be as genuine as you can and tell your story like your story is worthy, it's valid, and it's important that the review board is able to hear that and see that within your application. And something that's very, very important is to do your research. So it's important to know going beforehand within your application, like the language and like the overall culture of the country that you're going to. And again, you're never going to truly know until you've been there and you've experienced and you've lived there, but it's important to do some research to get a more authentic picture, and it'll help you envision how you want to be a diplomat, and again, help you understand how you'll practice reciprocity and engage with the locals as well. And then Tyler, if you wanted to add anything.
Yeah, I think you covered a lot, almost everything I was thinking of mentioning, but just really hammering on the point of making sure you have people check your work. This is probably the most common issue that comes up for students. When you look at an essay that you wrote 3 or 4 times, you can still miss things, I promise. I was that student who would completely read over that I used the wrong there, and maybe had some grammar that I just auto-corrected in my own head. So make sure, write clearly, good grammar, good punctuation. That can be something that could be a determining factor of a reviewer looking at applications that are both equally good. So that could come into play, but also always have someone check your work. This could be a friend, it could be a family member, but also a lot of universities, colleges will have a writing center or any kind of like office that may be able to assist you. You can ask your international office if they have time to review applications, but maybe they can also give recommendations. And really touching on the point too of making sure you're telling a story. I really like Samantha's suggestion of not telling them but showing them. If you can make it a compelling narrative, adding in anecdotes about your personal life, personal experiences, It's going to really bring the reviewer in to your personal story, your personal narrative, and really make them want them to help you and make you the most competitive applicant you can be. Yeah, but everything else Samantha really touched on great points.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll also mention a trick or a tip that I also did was I just had multiple drafts of the same essay essentially, and I shared that with my professors, with my advisors, and with my friends as well. So that was a way that I collected feedback. So that might work for you as well. And if it doesn't, that's completely fine. Yeah, you'll find like through the process, you'll find out what works for you in getting feedback and structuring your essay as well. But yeah, I hope that helps. And we can go on to the next slide. Awesome. So I believe we're getting to the end of the presentation, but I honestly just want to encourage you all to stay connected. And if you are interested in applying, we have our contact information here as well. And I will be dropping my contact information as well. I would be more than happy to just have a further discussion about your interests. And if you're interested in applying, taking a look at applications, like I'm here to help. And yeah, it was wonderful being here and being able to present to you all. Yes, and I should mention that there are other programs, exchange programs that are also part of the BEA, and that includes the Critical Language Scholarship, Fulbright U.S. Student Program, Boren Scholarships, and Fellowships as well. So again, if students are interested in any of these other exchange programs, please reach out to us and we can provide some more information on these programs as well, or you can visit the website that is posted on the PowerPoint as well. Awesome. And here is our contact information. Again, if you have any questions regarding the Gilman Scholarship, Gilman McCain, or again, want to just go through some of those different application tips and questions, please reach out to us. We are here to help guide you through this journey.
All right. And also just adding in some more additional resources on our end. So you'll see our scholarships email posted at the top, as well as the Gilman email from the previous page. I help monitor our scholarships email. So if there's any questions that come up after this presentation that may not have been answered, feel free to reach out through that method. We also have some really useful website links. So you can go to the Gilman website. You can go to our Money Matters section and also just look at some of our scholarships and external scholarship offerings, and also studentaid.gov. I found that's a really helpful website for students looking to apply for scholarships and for financial aid. So with that, thank you so much, Samantha, for joining us. It's incredibly appreciated. For those of you who are watching the recording, this will be the end of the video. So thank you so much for making it all the way through the recording. If you do have any other questions that come up, please feel free to reach out to us at either that scholarships email or our general email inbox here on this page. You can also find our phone if you'd prefer to give us a call, but you can also go to our website at usac.edu. We really appreciate you watching this recording. We'll go ahead and stop now for the Q&A section of this portion. Give me one moment.